Hi creative friends, it's Carrie-Anne here from Shabby Art Boutique, popping in today with this really cute little pop-up card project. It is just so stinking cute and it is really easy to make. Now this one, it's been sitting on my craft desk for a couple of weeks and I haven't got back to actually put it together. It's from the Forever Friends collection, so it matches in with that. And it's just a little pop-up card. As you can see, it's really simple. I've made an envelope to go with it this time and a little tag to go in it as well. But when I designed it, I created it with newbies in mind because I often get messages from people who are new to paper crafting, especially when it comes to flowers. They don't know about the placement and where to put things. And I wanted this to be really super easy and quick to make. And actually, I just love it. It's just so cute. I'm really quite liking these little miniature projects. So as you can see, it folds flat, completely flat to go in an envelope. And I've just actually popped some of the bits up on a little bit of foam tape just to give them some dimension. But isn't that just really cute? Really super easy. It's just a box construction with your little cups stuck on. I've made a little tag as well that sits in the back there. It's a bit hard to see when you're on that angle, but that's what it looks like when it's, just put it in there, there we go. So you don't have to have the tag in there. That's completely optional, but I think it's really cute there with that little bow. Gives you somewhere to write, front and back. You can also, I've actually adhered this together to make it a tag, but you could leave it open to be a card that opens up. So you have that option. You don't even have to use it. You can leave that aside and you can just have your cute little pop-up card. I like to use them as a tag on a gift rather than putting them in an envelope, but for the first time, this time in this listing, I've actually made a little envelope as well, designed it so it comes as a printable in the kit as well. So it's just a simple 3-page printable with some basic instructions, and I'm going to show you now just how quick and easy this is to make. But seriously, isn't that just adorable? I love it. I'll be sending lots of those out. You might even receive one. They're so cute. Alrighty, let's get to it and see how easy it is to make. Okay, so when you download your printable, there's 3 pages you need to print. The first 2, page 1 and page 2, have your teacup and rose graphics on them. These are the ones that you're going to use to make the actual card. Page 3 is your envelope, and it will be printed on just paper. So whether that's copy paper or I printed mine on a very lightweight matte photo paper, just because I wanted the colour to be a bit more intense, but that comes down to personal choice. But page 1 and page 2, you need to print this on a bit thicker paper, so it's got a bit more like a light cardstock. I've used matte photo paper in 250 GSM, that's the metric size. For those of you in the US, I'm pretty sure your photo paper comes in at 61 pounds, is sort of the equivalent. But as you can see, it's a little bit thicker than normal paper, and it'll hold its own shape. So the first thing we're going to do is cut out our 2 pages of graphics with a knife and your scissors. So I'm going to go and do that off camera, and I'll come back in a second when I've got that all done. Right, I'm back. I've cut out all my little pieces. We've got our 2 teacups, which are mirror image of each other. We've got our roses. We've got our 2 strips, our tag, and our envelope. Now we don't need the envelope or the tag right now, so I'm just going to put them aside out of our way so I've got room to move. So this is just a basic box construction. So this, I'll put this one the other way out here, that's the back. So this is the front little teacup. You can do it either way, it doesn't matter which way you do it. I just like the handle on the right. So that's going to be my front teacup. Then we've got our 2 strips of card. I've drawn the lines on them where you score, so you score either side of the pink box and just where the tab is, and on your little insert you're just going to score on the outside bits. I mean, you don't even have to score. I mean, you could just fold them. The card's light enough just to be able to fold. Anyway, I just think it's neater when you use your scoreboard and do a score line, but we just bend that into shape. So we're essentially just making a little box. Okay, I'm just using white glue. You might be using stick glue or a glue gun. It's completely up to you what you use. So this is just a really quick project. To make it even quicker, you could be making several of these at once. Would be a really good way to do it. And make it even quicker. And these are just, I just like to have these sort of cards just on hand. I have them in a cupboard in my card box ready to go if I need a card. Here we go. So we've just made a little box. It's that simple. Okay, I've put the pink on there. You might be wondering why the outside edges are pink. That's so that when it's on the card, on the cup, the sides of it are going to be pink. So it sort of matches the front. That makes sense. I'm just going to turn that little teacup over and I'm going to apply glue just to one side of our box. And I'm going to try and line it up. It's a little bit hard. When you do it on camera, you can't quite get right in over the top to see. So I'll try not to get my head in the way. Just show you how we position it on our teacup, matching the top of the box to the top of the teacup. I'm going to hold that up and show you in just a second. Lay that flat down. Okay. So that's our box on our teacup. Okay. Hopefully that sort of makes sense. And because we've scored it and because this cup folds down flat, it makes it easier when you're actually assembling it. Just to lay it flat and press it down. Okay. So that's one side of our box done. And now we're just going to do the other teacup. I think it, lay the teacup there. Get my glue. I'll just put that all over my fingers. So I'm just going to wipe that off so I don't get that on the card. You just do the exact same again. Just try and line them up. Top of the box to the top of the teacup. I think that's pretty lined up. I'm just going to squash that down just to make sure that's in place. Okay, so now we have, whoops, there we go. We have both sides, both our teacups attached to the box. Okay, I think you can see now how the box folds flat to be posted. Now, so we've got another area, so it stands up on its own. So we've got another area to apply flowers to give our dimension to the box. We're going to put this little insert on the inside. It's just going to go, fit this in here, like so. So it's just going to go in there like that. Okay, so we put glue on those little tabs. And don't put too much glue, just a little bit. You don't want it oozing out everywhere. One side. This is probably the fiddliest part of it. It's just getting this lined up inside. I mean, don't stress too much. If you don't get it in and it's all even and straight, no one's going to see it once your flowers are in there. Okay, we just want it to be roughly about the middle. And once again, you're lining up the top of the box. Oh dear. As I said, that bit's a little bit fiddly. I think that will be right. I'm just going to squash the box down, see if that helps me get that. Sorry, I'm slightly moving off camera there. There we go. Just a little squeeze to line that up and get it to stick down. Okay, so can you see that? Just keep moving around so I can see if you can see that. It's across the centre in my box. Okay. Right, so now we've got our little teacup ready to go. It still folds flat. Okay, next step, we've got to get our flowers ready. Okay, so we've got 2 layers of flowers. That's our middle layer. This is the front, going to go in the front of the card. And then we've got these extra little pieces to layer it up. It's optional whether you do that. We'll start with the middle layer. Now, this is designed in such a way that we've got some flowers that go down low, and that's the bit that has the glue on it. So I'm just going to show you without before I put the glue on. Glue's just going to go on this bottom bit on the back, and it's going to go onto that middle section in there. So can you see where I'm just popping that just inside the card so that when it it's glued in, the card will still fold flat. So I hope that makes sense. It's pretty straightforward. So it's just a little bit of glue on the underside, and that's going to go in that middle section. Because if we put the reverse on the other side, it's going to also stick to that middle section. It's going to make it quite stable. I think probably the best way to explain it is just to actually do it and show you. So I'm going to flip that over, and I'm going to put glue just on this very little bottom bit here. It's that the lowest rows that's on there. Actually, I think I just put a bit too much there. That's all right. We'll just spread that out a little bit so it's not too much. Okay, so just slips inside like that. And before it actually takes hold, I'm just going to make sure I can close that, and I can. That just sits in there quite neatly. Press it down. So when I open it up, there we go. So you can see how that's on the inside. I'll flick it like that, you can see there. And on the back, so these little bits here just extend out to the outside of the cup, but it still folds down. Pretty simple. The first one is probably the hardest. Then after you've done that, you realise it's just quite simple. Simply just adding the flowers. The front ones are going to go like this on here, just on the front of the card. What I've done on mine is I'm going to use a little bit of, let me get my foam tape. I'm going to get some foam tape, and I'm going to put it on the back, on the bottom part here, this bottom flower, like so. And I'll just grab my knife and peel that off. Okay, so that's our 3 roses, and a little piece of tape is just on the very bottom bit, and that's going to go on the outside of the cup, round about the centre, like so. I'm going to lay it down flat just to push that on. So we've now got our 2 layers of roses, and I'll put it side on so you can see it like that. Okay. So it's just 2 layers of roses. So there's no mucking around with trying to position flowers. It's already been done for you in the actual graphics. To build this up even a little bit more, those extra leaves and the rose that was on the first page, that rose is actually the same size as this one here. So we're just going to add a little bit of dimension by layering it. So I'll just grab another bit of foam tape. So I'm just using normal foam tape. And I'm going to try and line them up so they're about the same. I'll put the tape in the middle. See if I can get that off. There we go. So once again, I'm just going to push the cup flat so it's easier to apply it. Line it up. Goes that way there. And I'm going to pop that over the top. So it's just, I'll bring it up close so you can see, it just adds another little bit of dimension, pops it out a little bit. It also allows us to pop in these little leaves. Now when I add leaves, I try to give them a bit more dimension just with my fingers. So you just hold the bit that's going to go flat and adhere to the cup, and with your fingers just sort of shape the rest of the leaves just to give them a little bit of body, a little bit of shape to them. So I just hold the end flat between my fingers and just use the other hand just to shape them a little bit. It's a bit more interesting. Okay, so now we can actually just pop and slide them in there like that, and just see how it's going to give it just a little bit more interest, like so. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to once again fold the cup flat so it's easy to put them in. Just a little spot of glue on that bottom, that little corner there. I'm going to grab my stylus so I can pop that in there like that. So you just need something just to push it in there so you're not pushing down on your rose. So you can see that, it's got a little bit of shape. Do the same with this one. That glue, it's a new bottle, that one, and it comes out so fast. There we go. Okay, slide that in there. So these are all optional. You don't have to do these extra steps. They just make it a little bit more interesting, I think. Okay, so that's the front of our card done. So you always just keep checking that it still folds flat so you can post it. Still folding flat, no problems, but it's starting to get a little bit of dimension to it. Okay, so the back. This is an optional area. You can either leave it plain. I've designed it so that the little tag that I popped in was on page 2. So you cut it out as one piece, score down the center and fold it in half. So you can adhere it together and it becomes a double-sided tag, or you can leave it that it opens up to be a card. That is completely optional. But the idea of it is it will, I'm not sure if you'll be able to see this on camera, the little card pops into that section in there and it'll sit like that inside of it when it's standing up. It's a bit hard to see because the camera is over the top of it, but it just fits inside like that. I'm actually going to, I think, I might add some glue to mine, make it a tag. So pop that around the edges, like so. And I had room on the page, so I popped in a couple of extra little butterflies as well. Once again, you cut them out, and same as with the leaves, just add a little bit of dimension to them with your fingers so they're not completely flat. And I think that will look really sweet, just popped on the top there, a bit more dimension. I think before I do that, actually, I will, where is my hole punch? Right. I'm going to punch a hole in there, just in the center. I'm not going to put an eyelet or anything. I'm just going to put just a hole there so I can put some ribbon in there. I've got lots of glue on there, goodness me. As I said, that glue's coming out way too quick. Just do the same with this little one. Give it a little bit of shape. Because I've got so much glue on there, I think I can probably transfer a little bit from that one to this one to use that excess glue. There we go. So I'll pop that on this side. Just line up your little butterfly with the printed one. Can you see that? It's just giving it a little bit more dimension. And I'll do the same on the other side. I'll just flatten it down for a second. It's just a cute little tag. But that's, once again, it's optional. You don't have to include this. Put that one up. There we go. So it's a little double-sided tag. Isn't that sweet? I'll put a bit of ribbon on that now, so we don't have to come back and do that later. This is just a little bit of seam binding. Just screw it up to a little ball just to give it a bit of shape. Okay. And then we'll go back and we'll finish the back of the card. So as I said, this is really, really easy, quick and easy to make these cards. And it takes a bit longer, obviously, when you're making a video. So you slow down to explain the steps, but really, I popped this out in less than half an hour. There we go. This all just adds texture and a little bit of body to it, but it's still flat enough to fit into an envelope to post. There we go. So we've got our little tag there. Okay, so I'm just going to pop that aside for the moment. We're going back to our cup. So we've done the front, we've got our lovely layers. Now we've got that back area. So as I said, this is optional what you do here. On page 2, there were some extra cutouts. This one here, the bigger one, is the reverse of that big one that was in the center there, minus those little bit of eucalyptus on the side, okay? So you do have the option here of popping that in there. Lay it down flat so I can lay it on there. And that just goes straight over the back of the one that was in the center there. So you don't have that white card showing. But you don't have to do that. It's up to you. I'm going to put it on there and show you what it looks like. I just think it just adds a bit more interest to the back of the card. I know no one's really probably looking at the card very much on the back. But I just think if you're sending it to someone, it just looks extra pretty like that. Now, the little piece at the bottom again will stick to that white insert that's in the center of the card. So that'll just, oops, the other way. So I'm just spreading that out a little bit. That's not too thick. So that little insert that we put in originally, it's going to stick to that as well. I'm just going to show you a little trick actually. I'm going to put a bit of extra glue on here. When you have glue on both surfaces, it allows you a bit longer drying time to move things around. There we go. So if I don't get it on, you know, sometimes you stick things on and they stick instantly and you can't move them if they're not quite right. Because I'm trying to line this up with the one that's already there, I've got that roughly in position. I'm just going to turn over and make sure that there's not white cards showing on this side, and it seems to have been lined up pretty well. Turn it around. So I'm trying not to get my head in the shot. Okay, that's going to be fine. We'll just stick that on. If there was a little bit of white card showing on this side, look, you could just use your scissors or knife just to trim that off to make sure that it looks pretty. Okay, so that's the front of our card, and when we flip it over, we've now got a design on the back as well. I've got extra ones here, so don't forget our little tag's going to be sitting in the back like that when it's standing up. I've got extra little ones here. I'm going to stick another one on the front, I think. Maybe two. I've got them there, so I think I'll do that. I'll stick a couple more. I don't want any more dimension on the back, because if it gets too thick, it's not going to sit in your envelope really well if you're posting it. I'm just going to pop that like so. Oh, it's going to look cute. We'll pop a little leaf in there as well, I think. In there. That in first. It's really up to you what you do here. You could even write on there. You could add a sentiment banner there. I think that's going to look fine. There we go. A little tad of glue there. Don't need the other ones. We'll just keep it pretty simple. Right. So that's the back of the card. That's the front of the card, and it all still folds nice and flat to go in the envelope. Okay, that's pretty hard to show. This will just sit in here like that. So you just see that bit of ribbon and the butterflies at the top when it's actually standing up. Of course, my camera's I'm looking from above, so you can't really quite see that, but that's what it looks like. Now we just need to make our envelope. Oh my goodness, I just had to turn off the video. I'm sorry. You know, it's like there's no sound in the house, and as soon as you put the video on or put the camera on, the dog starts barking. So we've just had her going absolutely crazy at the front door. So I just muted that for that minute. So we're back. So this is the envelope. I don't usually put envelopes in the listings. This is the first time I've done one. It's the first time I've cut one out. I'm hoping it's going to go together okay. I've simply scored around the main box. As I said, it's just paper. You don't have to score those with a scoreboard. You can just fold them up. Without it, it's only thin paper. So that's going to be the back of the envelope, and then the flap will fold down. Oh, it does all go together okay. I was a bit nervous about that, but it does go together okay. So all we simply have to do there is just put a little bead of glue just down the side here. Like so, and pop it down on those little side flaps. Make sure that's... Now to secure that closed, you could put a little dab of glue on there, you could use some washi tape, you could use a sticker. Sorry, that is my dog still barking up there. She's got a death wish today, seriously. And so that's how, yeah, our little cup's going to fit in there perfectly. There's plenty of room. That and the tags all going to fit in there. No problems. And it's still a bit wet. I can see if I can slide it in there, but it's still a bit wet, so I don't really want to force it too much in there, but it's just, as you can see, it's just going to slide in there. Lots and lots of room in there. So that's another option, using the envelope, but I actually just like to use it as a tag mostly. So that's our little rose teacup. It's so easy. And as I said before, if you just did a few of them all together at once, you knock them out in no time. And you can just have your little tag in there as well if you want to. How cute's that? So easy. So I'm going to pop a little link down below for this listing. It'll be in the print and make section on my Etsy page. And yeah, it's a nice, easy project for newbies. So I hope to pop in again next week with another project. I mean, this one's been sitting there for weeks waiting to get finished, so I've got a couple there on the go. But I'll try and get in, all being good, early next week. So I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, please subscribe, and so you can see the upcoming videos as well.